YouTube, game one of the 2024 NBA Finals is officially over, and in my opinion, we got some shocking results. We end up with a final score of 107-89. The Celtics defeat the Mavs by a pretty wide margin, end up protecting their home floor, and come away in game one with a victory. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I was expecting this to be a lot closer of a game, and in this video, I'm going to break down some analysis of just some things that I saw that I could point out to you guys that maybe could be a point of emphasis in the series moving forward, what the Mavs can do to, have a better game two performance in this series, and maybe go back to Dallas with a 1-1 series tie on their home floor. Game one analysis of the 2024 NBA Finals. Let's get into it, folks. So I guess we should start with the expectations going into this game. I personally have the Celtics coming out on top in this series and winning their first finals since 2008 because, in my opinion, they're just the more versatile and better team throughout the season and showed that last night. But I did expect this to be a much closer game, and honestly, early on in the first quarter, it looked like the Celtics were just going to dominate this entire game, and that's exactly what they did. In the third quarter to come out, the Celtics had a massive lead throughout the entire game, but at one point in the third quarter, the Mavs did have a chance. They really started the second half really well and ended up getting within 8 points of the Celtics, but kind of blew their opportunity for a comeback, and it just got out of hand quickly once again in that third quarter. So like I said, we're going to do some analysis. I'm going to go through, player by player, their performances and stuff like that for this game. What went wrong for the Mavs? What went well for the Celtics? Let's just start with the Mavericks, right? And this is the thing I wanted to know, going into this series is how would they match up against the Celtics, with the Celtics, starting five and Kristaps Porzingis being back, who we'll talk about in a little bit, just being so versatile on both ends of the floor and, can really shoot you out of the gym. So the Mavericks, as far as their best players, Luka Doncic ended up with 30 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist. His teammates really weren't knocking down a lot of shots, and that's probably why the low assist number happened. 4 turnovers, but that's to be expected from someone like Luka with the ball in his hands so much and making all the plays that he does. I thought this was a fairly decent performance from Luka, about what you'd expect from Luka in his first finals game. He looked unfazed by the pressure. This is a guy who has played through big moments in his early career so far over in Europe, and really isn't affected by the moment at this point in his career, even though he's only 25 years old. You'd think a young player playing in their first finals game would be, the pressure would get to them a little bit. Not Luka. He came out, did his job. Kyrie Irving, let's just get this out of the way. He obviously had a bad shooting night, clearly not playing well at all. One of the worst games I've seen Kyrie play in a long time, which is super unfortunate. The Boston crowd was super hostile towards him, as we expected. You guys remember Kyrie leaving the Celtics and stuff like that. Clearly the Celtics fans were going to use that against him, and you heard a rain of boos early on, and it really didn't stop throughout the game, but that's to be expected. I'm sure Kyrie expected that, like I said. But Kyrie Irving, 12 points, 3 rebounds and 2 assists, 2 steals and 3 turnovers. That it really doesn't do justice, how lackluster his performance was in game one, only shooting 6 of 19 from the field and 0 of 5 from 3-point range. He's getting a lot of good looks, in my opinion. Kyrie doesn't need a lot of space to knock down big shots, and we know that his handle was off. That's his biggest strength, really being able to set up his shots the way he wants, dribble through traffic, break down any defender and get to where he wants to on the floor. But it just didn't look like the Kyrie we know and love, especially going into this game. Him finishing with 12 points and the fact that they were even making a comeback late in that third quarter, like I said, speaks volumes to the rest of the Mavs team. And just a bad performance from Kyrie straight up. He's got to play better, he's got to shoot the ball better, and he's got to get his stuff together for game two, because if he continues to play like this, the Mavs have no chance going forward in this series. The big men were held in check for the most part. The Celtics have a lot of big bodies, but I thought the big men would be a more critical factor in this game because, other than Porzingis, I believe the two-man tandem of Derrick White II and Daniel Gafford were going to be a real athletic issue for the Celtics. Al Horford is a great defender and he's a really good player still at his age, but he's just not athletic and young enough to hang with these guys and transition and stuff like that. So I thought, the lobs would be crazy for the Mavs, but the Celtics did a really good job. Daniel Gafford only played 14 minutes in this game. He ended up with 8 points and 3 rebounds. Nothing too crazy. I didn't see a lot of great things from him, but I think he, for the most part did okay. But Derrick White II played the majority of the center minutes, only, ending with 18 minutes, but unfortunately he got in foul trouble throughout the game, and that was an issue for him. Only ended up with 2 points, went 0 of 2 from the free throw line, so 5 rebounds. He was okay on defense, but he, the big men got to be better. The Mavs and Jason Kidd got to find a way to get those guys involved offensively, and in the pick and roll and lob game from Luka, they got to find a way to get those guys good shots near and around the basket. The Mavs supporting cast was, again, a little lackluster. I think Luka was kind of on his own. It kind of looked like a lot of times throughout this game, especially offensively. These guys tried really hard and they played really hard, especially Derrick Jones Jr. He got stuffed at the rim maybe 4 times throughout that game from Porzingis, Tatum, and these perimeter defenders for the Celtics are so great. But, Derrick Jones Jr. only shooting 2 of 9 from the field, did knock down a 3, 1 of 2 from 3, but he's got to play a little bit better, especially especially maybe attempt a little bit more threes in the next game, and hopefully can figure out a way to get good looks, in transition with those dunks that he always does. So like I said, the Celtics did a really great job of protecting the rim, and particularly in the lob game. So that is a dynamic that Derrick Jones Jr. brings, and when that's not working, he's just basically a catch and shoot guy. PJ Washington was pretty good, I think, one of the better players for the Mavs supporting cast, ended up with 14 points, 8 rebounds. I don't think he was really an issue. Tim Hardaway got some minutes, didn't score a basket. Jalen Green was not super impactful offensively, only knocking down one shot, and it was a three-pointer, but it went 104 from the field. And a surprising aspect to this game was Jaden Hardy's performance. I think this guy, Jaden Hardy, is a younger guy, obviously a guard. He is only 21 years old and played 11 minutes in this game, provided a lot of offensive juice and spark off the bench for the Mavs. He's looked really fearless and not afraid of the moment, and that was really, really beneficial for the Mavs. Jaden Hardy ended up with 13 points, and like I said, only 11 minutes played throughout this game. So you gotta be happy with Jaden Hardy's performance. Maybe you think Jaden Hardy, if Kyrie or Luka are on the bench, can get some more minutes and try to be a good spark to that team offensively. So that's a positive sign. But really, this just came down to, for the Mavs, their performance individually for their roster. Luka played really, really well, and everybody else was just a little bit lackluster from what you'd expect from them, especially Kyrie Irving. The guy didn't shoot well, right? And he was clearly off his game for whatever reason, and he's got to play better throughout the series. Like I said, if the Mavs want to have a chance to win this series, no question about it, Kyrie's got to shoot the ball better, and I would assume he will come out next game and go on a tear, because that's the kind of worker and player that he is. Great players don't allow this stuff to happen game after game, so I'm sure Kyrie will bounce back. He really has to for the Mavericks. On an individual level for the Celtics, I mean, what isn't there to like? Jayson Tatum, first of all, really took a step back in this game and let his teammates who were hot and had the hot hand go to work, and that is a really big sign of maturity. You heard it all night on the broadcast last night. If you're a Mavs fan, I could see how that'd be annoying hearing that every 5 seconds, but it really is true. I think, Jayson Tatum really allowing his other teammates, to step up and hit big shots. Tatum had a pretty good game as well, really taking more of a playmaker role and defensive role, and just doing the little things that the team needed to win, right? That's a big difference in this season for Jayson Tatum. I think he's more willing to accept his role any given night, right? Like if JB and Kristaps Porzingis are going off, he's able to take a step back and say, whatever it takes to win the game, that's what I'm going to do, and put my ego aside and do whatever it takes, right? So Tatum ended up with 16 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block. Did have 6 turnovers, but overall, I think this was a really good performance, especially on the defensive end for Tatum. Played awesome defensively. You'll love to see it if you're a Celtics fan. We have to talk about Kristaps Porzingis. Going into the series during my finals predictions video, I wasn't even sure if this guy was going to play at all in game 1 or 2 or whatever it was. He's clearly not 100%, but man, Porzingis came out on fire. Really looked like he was itching to get back on the floor, and ended up taking advantage of so many mismatches. Was an absolutely dominant force on the interior defensively, blocking 3 shots in this game. The Mavs just couldn't get anything at the rim, and Porzingis had a big role in that. He didn't even have to play that many minutes because the Celtics just had, a giant lead to play with throughout the game. So they want to save Porzingis, which makes sense. He ended up playing 21 minutes and scored 20 points in this game, 8 of 13 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. His shooting was absolutely fantastic, man. It was something to see, really was. From the mid-range area, from the 3-point area, he was just on fire, caught fire early, and at one point in the game, I think in the first half, he had like 18 points, and he was like 7 of 9 from the field, and mostly perimeter shots. So really, really incredible work from Porzingis, man. That's a really encouraging sign if you're a Celtics fan, because like I said, you weren't sure what he was going to look like when he came back. Was rust going to be an issue? Was he going to be a little bit, out of shape and stuff like that? So them being able to manage his minutes the way they did was super good for the Celtics, because, they had a lead to play with. So, I expect Kristaps to be another, big impact going forward in this series. We'll see what that minute restriction looks like, if there is one at all, how many minutes he'll be able to play in a game and still be effective. But great performance from Kristaps, man. He was really, in my opinion, a big difference maker in this game. Jaylen Brown was absolutely fantastic. Played, just as good as he's been playing throughout these playoffs. This is the best basketball Jaylen Brown's ever played in his career, really silencing a lot of, haters, primarily from the Celtics' own community. This is a guy that is an all-star caliber player, all NBA caliber player every single season. He's not a talker, you know what I mean? He just comes out and plays basketball and works hard and stuff like that. And he really has gained a lot of people, has to have gained a lot of people's respect throughout these playoffs, man. He has played so good, even winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Continued that in game 1 in this series, right? JB ended up with 22 points, 3 steals, 3 blocks, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 7 of 12 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3. Has to shoot better from the line, only 6 of 11, but man, was he all over the floor and active in every aspect of this game. And like I said, when these guys are hot, JB and Kristaps, when Tatum is able to, check his ego aside and say, hey, these guys got the hot hand. I don't have to take all these shots and carry the offense and play hero ball. I'm gonna let them do their thing. I'm gonna let them cook, right? And JB was absolutely cooking in this game on both ends of the floor, was just all over the floor, man. What an amazing performance and showing from JB. Jaylen Brown really deserves a ton of credit for his performance in game one. As far as the two, really great perimeter role players, Jrue Holiday and Derrick White both chipping in a really good performance on both ends of the floor. Holiday with 12 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, shot well from the field. Derrick White with 15 points, knocked down 3 3-pointers, and shot well from the field as well. So these guys being all NBA caliber defenders, and I believe they both made the all NBA second team defense this season, really showed up in this game on the perimeter defensively and hit the big shots when they mattered, right? So Al Horford was also, pivotal in this game. I think a lot of times making the defenders close out Gafford and Lively at the 5 spot and making them close out on the 3-point line, because Al Horford's such a great shooter that he's going to take the center out of the paint one way or another. A lot of times the Mavs left him open, and I think that was a strategic thing because, you got to give up something in basketball defensively, and I guess they decided that night to give up Al Horford's 3-point shooting, and he ended up making him pay, right? And it also ended up forcing Gafford and Lively to come out of the paint and close out on those Al Horford corner threes and stuff like that. So took him out of the paint for the rebound if he missed, but he made a lot of them. Al Horford knocking down 2 threes in this game, but really, like I said, had a dynamic role on both ends of the floor. And another great promising performance was Sam Hauser, who really stepped up defensively more than anything. I saw early in the game lock up Luka a couple times one-on-one on an island. So Sam Hauser, man, he was knocking down threes, 2 of 2 from 3, 3 of 4 from the field, and just had a really good game on both ends. So Celtics overall just everyone played their best. In my opinion, I don't think anyone played lackluster for that team, and you got to be thrilled for everything you saw. The Celtics looked hungry, they looked ready, and they looked like it was their moment, and they seized it, right? That's a big positive for the Celtics. We'll get into the team analysis, team stats and stuff like that just for a little bit, and then I'll talk about what the series could look like moving forward, what the Mavs can do to tie the series 1-1 on Sunday. But as far as the team stats, I think the rebounds were a big thing for the Celtics. Ended up having 47 rebounds total. It doesn't look as bad on the stat sheet as you'd think. The Mavs only having 43, so basically 4 less rebounds total. But throughout the game before it became garbage time, the Celtics were getting a lot of offensive rebounds, and this is a team that offensively had a historically great season. Celtics ended up with 10 offensive rebounds, and like I said, a lot of those were early in the game. You cannot let the Celtics get another opportunity offensively after you play good defense, man. That's got to be a point of emphasis moving forward. It's just hard, like I said, because their 5 men can take the centers out of the paint, and then it's up to the guards and some smaller forwards to be able to rebound the basketball at an elite level. You got guys like Tatum and Brown swooping in with their athleticism to sky up and get an offensive board. So that's going to be a really big point of emphasis in my opinion. But Celtics just shot lights out start to finish. 47% from the field, 38 from 3. They knocked down 16 threes out of 42 attempts. That's just beautiful basketball. The Mavs really struggled shooting throughout the game, like I said, especially from 3. They only ended up 7 of 27 from 3, and in my opinion, that really discouraged them to take threes throughout the game because they weren't shooting the best. They need guys like PJ Washington, Derrick Jones Jr. to be able to knock down those catch and shoot. You got to hit the open ones, man. When you're up against a team like the Celtics, you got to hit the open ones. Mavs failed to do that, right? So, but overall, as far as that's all aside, I think as far as this series goes, Kyrie just didn't, he didn't shoot well, right? That had to have played such a big factor in this game. There was a lot of points throughout the game where I felt like if Kyrie hit a shot, a big shot, he would take these, pull up threes or pull up mid range, get to a spot and just end up missing, right? If Kyrie plays more in character and hits the open shots that he's taken, hits the big, momentum swing shots where he's pulling up for a 3 in transition when they're down 8 or down, 10 or whatever, I think that changes the outcome of the game quite a bit. I think if Kyrie plays his best in this game, the all NBA caliber level we, know him to play this season, I think this game is a lot closer than it was and ends up being, a 4th quarter battle. So don't be too discouraged, Mavs fans. A couple of your guys didn't play that great. You got to do a lot schematically for the next game. You got to find a way to get to the rim and get those big guys active on offense. But basically, some of it is in your control. Kyrie's just got to shoot better, right? And I'm sure he will, like I said, bounce back from that lackluster performance and shoot the ball much better in game 2. Come out ready to, dominate like he always does with the handles and stuff like that, and, the shot creation and shot making. So you can't be too worried if you're the Mavs. It's just a bad game from your second best player. That can be fixed next game, and I expect it to be. The big question is, how are you going to set these guys up on the interior to get better shots and, get those lobs and things like that going, and your offense can really start moving and become the machine it was throughout this playoffs. Celtics did an amazing job of guarding the rim, and that kept the Mavs basically playing all around the perimeter, which, their shots weren't going in. So it ended up just being like Luka has to score or they have to get fouled, right? So that's not a great offense. That's not a great recipe to beat a team like the Celtics, but that's pretty much it for the video. video, man. That's all my analysis. You know, we'll do this after every game of the finals. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're subscribed to this channel and you guys follow me pretty closely, you know, I do owe you guys an apology. I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in the past few days, you know, as often as I do. We usually upload every day, but I missed a couple days. I do apologize. It's because I honestly was sick. I just wasn't feeling the best, wasn't able to be my energetic self for you guys. So I do owe you guys an apology. I will, you know, we're back and we're ready to upload every day. So hopefully you guys stay tuned with the channel. We got a lot of good things coming. The finals, and once they're over, it's gonna be the off season and the Olympics and stuff like that. So hopefully you guys stick around. Make sure you guys subscribe if you guys haven't already. We would love to have you, man. We upload videos like this every day normally, like I said. But let me know down in the comment section what you think of this series so far, what you think of game one. Do you think it was an irregular occurrence for the Mavs, kind of like I do, or do you think the Mavs are really in trouble? I think the Celtics obviously are the better team overall. I've said that a million times, but I think the Mavs do have a real chance of winning this series if they play their cards right, and you know, they didn't last night, so it is what it is, right? Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day today. Make sure you guys drop a like on the video if you guys did enjoy it. Really helps out the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next one. This is your boy D Haven, as always. Peace.